Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about two digital tools that are free in the district. We're going to be talking about Edpuzzle first, and then we will move on to Seesaw. We're going to talk about what each of these tools are, why you should use them, and then a brief overview of how to use them. And then we'll dive in a little bit deeper if you guys have any questions. I'm going to let me put the links in the chat before I forget. I gotta find my links. There we go. Copy. Where are you? There you go. All right, so presentation link. Coming at you now. There you go. So if you want the slides on your own, and as always, these will be on the Summer PD website after I get the video downloaded and uploaded into YouTube. So I'm going to share my screen, and then we'll bop along through the slides. I will stop every once in a while to take questions. So when we get there, feel free to ask away. So like I said, we're talking about Edpuzzle and Seesaw, both free. Both tools do offer a paid subscription. The district does not buy either one of these tools as a paid subscription. Teachers are free to purchase it on their own if they wish, but you will get plenty of capability and be able to do what you want to do using the free version just fine. So you don't have to buy anything. Just move my video bar. Oh, come on. Having computer issues today. All right, we're going to move on. So first we're going to talk about Edpuzzle. And Edpuzzle is basically a video that you can put questions and response points into the video itself. So the video will play along, it'll come to the question that you've put in it, and the video will stop. The question will pop up on the side, and the students can then answer the question. There's also a take notes option, so you might want them to jot down like what their favorite part was, the main idea, 3 things you've learned so far, that kind of stuff. There is also an option, and the reason a lot of teachers like this, there is an option to force students to watch the video all the way to completion. They can't skip ahead. A lot of times, particularly some of our more savvy older students, have figured out that when assigned a YouTube video to watch, they can kind of skip through it quickly and not actually have to watch the entire video, or just not watch it at all and talk to their friends and figure out what it is. So this is a way to add a little bit of accountability into video watching. Now, when we're talking about the 2 different kinds of accounts, we obviously have a free account, and the difference between the free and the paid is minimal. And the only difference, I looked into it pretty deeply, the only difference is the amount of storage that you have to save the videos that you are having in your library, your saved videos. With a free account, you get 20 videos. With a paid account, which is $11.50 a month for a teacher license, so it works out to what, $140 a year about, you get unlimited storage. So you're not restricted at all. You can put as many videos as you want in there. However, with the free account, if you end up going past your 20 videos, all you have to do, let's say you're sitting down and you're making your 21st video, just go back and delete video number 1. All of the videos are coming from YouTube, or you can download them into your Google Drive, just the video itself, not the questions, so that when it comes back around to the beginning of the year next year, you can just recreate that Edpuzzle question set to go with the video itself. So like I said, the free version does work pretty well. The basic steps for how to create and use the Edpuzzle video platform. First thing you have to do is sign up for an Edpuzzle account if you don't already have one. Make sure you're choosing a teacher account. Then they have a sign in with Google button. I highly recommend you use the sign in with Google button. It eases the connection with Google Classroom. Once you've done that, you're going to search for a video on your topic. It integrates seamlessly with YouTube. When it says search, you're literally searching YouTube. Or if you've already picked out the video you want from YouTube, you can copy the link from the YouTube website and paste it right in the search bar, and it'll locate that video for you. Then you have the option to cut the video. So maybe it's a 50-minute video, but you're really only focusing on 20 minutes in the middle. You can edit the video so it has the section that you want and get rid of the rest of it. You can also add your own voiceover to the video. So if the voiceover or the audio that goes along with the video is not what you're looking for, you can add your own voiceover to it. And then you embed your questions. There's 3 types. There's multiple choice, there's open-ended, and there's a place for the students to take notes. You then would assign the video to your class, and to do that, you would need to set up your Google Classroom sync. So it does sync automatically with Google Classroom, but you just have to kind of give it a little bit of a prompt. It doesn't sync to Clever. So the way classes are set up in Clever, that's not what it's syncing up to. It's syncing up to however your classes are set up in Google Classroom. So if you have kids, for example, if you're a pullout teacher or a reading intervention teacher, or if you have kids who come and go and are in different groups and this and that, however your Google Classroom is set up, that's who it's going to be assigning to. There's some Edpuzzle resources on this slide. The first one is directly to their support site, which is amazing. Every question I've ever had about Edpuzzle, I've gotten straight from their site. I've been able to answer it right there. But there are also, I've linked up a couple of videos. Those of you who are better at watching videos to figure things out, there's a couple there to help you with that. And then I have my Edpuzzle window open up here. I wanted to kind of jump into it and show you. So I'm already signed into mine. And these are the videos that I have that I've kind of played around with a little bit. I'm going to delete this one because I don't want to use this one. Actually, all right, let's go to add content. This is where you would go to add a video. You would add content and you're going to create a video. Okay. It filters by subject. And then down here on the bottom, you guys are actually in the way. I gotta figure out how to move you. Oops, go back. I want to go to YouTube, but I want to see more. So when I go to see more, move you again, you guys are just floating around in the middle there. This is where I would type in what I'm searching for, or if I already had the link directly to the video I wanted to use. So I'm going to type in multiplying double digits. And so it gives me these videos. It's really great because the Khan Academy videos are also on YouTube. If you're doing a math subject or a Khan Academy video, a lot of those pop up as well, in addition to any other teacher videos that are on YouTube. This is the Math Antics guy. I like him a lot, so I'm going to choose his video. Here he is. This is my opportunity to fiddle around with the video a little bit. I can embed my questions over here. So this is the one I want. I can play it. All right. And I'm gonna copy it because this is the video that I want. And then I'm gonna go to my content. Here he is. And, I think something's wrong. Because it usually lets me embed questions. Of course, the one I picked doesn't work. All right, edit, here we go. So here's my edit screen. This is where I can cut it up here at the top. All right, I can cut it. If I don't want the first however many minutes of the video, I can take them out. So I can have the video start here if I want it to. All right, I can add my own voiceover. I can record my own voiceover. So it has to be your own video. It's our YouTube policy agreement. So if you want to do your own voiceover, it has to be your own video. And then I click on questions, and here's where I can embed my different types of questions. So when I embed a multiple choice question, this is my question. And then I would type my answer choices here, 4, 6, you can add another one, 7, and this one is the right answer, and this one is the wrong answer. There can be more than one right answer, so that's important to know. If you make the correct answer your last answer and you turn that green check mark on, you have to remember to go and turn the other ones to red X's unless they're all correct answers. So then you would save it. And it embedded that question right at that place. And I'm going to put another question here. This is going to be my open-ended question. Write what you want. I'm going to save it. And you'll notice these little gray bubbles. These are where my questions are, and I can move them. So this first one, I really didn't want it at the beginning of the video. I meant for it to be here. I can drag it and move it where I want it to go. Okay. So once I've done that, I'm going to click finish. And then when I go to assign it, this is where you're going to make it so that the students have to prevent skipping. You are making them watch it all the way through. And the way to make this go all the way to the end is to put a question at the very end of the video. So if you prevent skipping, that's cool. They'll answer the first 2 questions. They'll see there's 5 minutes of the video left and they'll just not finish it. So if you want to prevent skipping and make them go all the way to the end of the video, put a video all the way at the end of the video. You can also turn on closed captioning. So if you have students who would do better reading the audio of the video, you can turn that on. It doesn't always have closed captioning. This is based off of YouTube closed captioning. So whatever closed captioning is available for that video on YouTube, it'll bring that over. So all of this is coming from YouTube. And then you just pick the class that you want to assign it to. I don't have a Google Classroom up here right now that is active. All of these are closed. But you would just click the classroom that you wanted to assign it to and click the assign button. And that assignment shows up in Google Classroom for them. And that's it. You could also share it as a link. So if you clicked on public links, you could copy this and paste it. The only thing that this does is it has the kids, they have to go into, if they don't sign into Edpuzzle, it doesn't save what they've done. So the easiest way, if you're using Google Classroom, assign it to them through Google Classroom because they have to sign in and then you have to have the class set up. So it's more likely for them to miss a step if you share it as a link as opposed to sharing it through Google Classroom. All right. Questions about Edpuzzle?
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Pam.
Okay, 2 questions. When you just said they should go through Google Classroom, but just like we have to sign up like in the beginning. So that's one of those things that the students have to have an account as well.
Yes, and I think the very first time when they click on it, it'll have them sign in, but then after they've done that, it should just, if they're using the same device, if they're signed into Chrome, it should just sign them in each time. I also think there's a clever integration. It's not the kind of clever integration like STMath and iReady where it pre-populates the classrooms, but I think there is a clever button that you can, or an Edpuzzle button you can add to your Clever page. So again, after they sign in that first time, it will automatically sign them in each time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
That's
like
okay.
thick with it. So I'm signing up for the Edpuzzle account.
Yes.
From that, when I say I'm a teacher, is it also asking me to like sign the students up or
no?
How are they then?
So you're going to sync your Google Classroom. And let me see. Let me get out of this. See if I can find it to show you. So the first thing you're going to do after you get in here is you're going to go to classes, right? And you are going to add a new class over here on the side.
Okay.
And you're going to do it with Google Classroom because you're already going to have your Google Classroom set up. So that's going to pull all of your students in. When they sign up, when they click the link in Google Classroom, it's going to bring them to Edpuzzle. They might have to still hit the sign in with Google button.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So they might still have to hit that sign in with Google button and then just like on my screen where they have to find their account, you find your account.
Okay.
And then they're all signed in. But it should be relatively, for especially, I mean, I know your kiddos are like the exception because a lot of them are newcomers and some of our younger kiddos, but for our older kiddos and our kiddos in like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, they'll know like sign in with Google, find my name, and then you're in kind of a thing.
Right.
It's going to be part of that sign in with Google process. So now I have, these are all my Google Classrooms that I have active in my Google Classroom bank. So I would pick which class I'm now adding to Edpuzzle. So if I wanted to add demo class, I would import it and whatever students are attached to that would come over. So I don't have any students in that class. So that's why there's no names showing up.
Okay. And then because then we could see see under students, if they did sign in, you could see who signed in and who hadn't signed in.
Yep. So if I click
Okay.
on this class, which is an old class, these are all the kids from that class. These kids are
Great.
4th graders, I think. So that shows you how old this class is. They were in
Mhm.
2nd grade when I did this, but now they're in 4th.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, but they should automatically show up. And if, like, for example, you add a kid to Google Classroom, when you come to Edpuzzle, you might have to hit this. It should do it automatically, but if for some reason that kid's missing, just hit import and it'll like resync up.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a link on the slides where it says Edpuzzle in Google Classroom. That video shows you all of this, like how to connect the two.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
I have one last question.
Please.
It's more like a general comment.
Please.
During these 10 days of professional development, are they going to give us time to like, that's what I need. I need time to take all of this information that you've been giving us this summer and apply it. But I need quiet time to sit and figure out which of these tools can I use effectively in my classroom. But I'm nervous that those 10 days, they're gonna pack it with stuff. And again, we're not going to have any time to actually work on applying all of these tech tools that you've been.
So I actually have a
time
meeting in about an hour and a half with Craig to talk about PD. So I can't speak to what district initiatives are going to be put in place. I can say that based off of what I've seen Tim doing at Woodland, again, that's my only area of experience because that's the only reopening committee I'm on. He has built in a ton of classroom time for the teachers. Every single day, there's at least a 3-hour block of classroom time. So what he's tried to do is do like PD thingy-majiggies, whether they're mandated or optional in the morning, and then classroom time in the afternoon. And then he's kind of reversed it on the next day. So anything that has, you either have to attend this or there's something offered for this, he's kind of tried to stagger it throughout the calendar. I can't say what other principals are doing, but I know he's very aware that teachers need the time, not only to figure all of this out, but to actually sit and do it and communicate with their teams and figure out what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's all well and good for us to get all this information, but unless we're sitting down and having that quiet time to actually put it in place, I don't think it does us any good, because once we hit the ground running,
you're not going to stop and figure this out.
Right. I think what happens is you fall back onto what you've always done instead of trying. Like, I just want to feel more confident applying some of these new tools, but I know I need to sit with Lori and my team, and we need to put some lessons in place just to try it out.
Yes. I will say I'm also, for my particular sessions, the ones that I'm trying to work out, I'm pushing for them to actually be a little longer. I'm thinking an hour and a half to 2 hours a piece, because I want to make sure that teachers have time to sit and figure it out and play with it. Like, these sessions that I'm doing right now are great. They're filled with information, but there's no time for you guys to sit and play with it and ask me questions as we go through. I want to have a longer session, that hour and a half, that 2 hours, so that at least a half an hour of it is you guys are logging in, you're playing around with it, you're stuck, you can't figure it out, and you have a chance to ask a question about that.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. You said you're having a meeting with Craig?
Yep.
Can you mention, just say that some of the teachers on the summer tech PD were interested in that?
Yep,
thank
absolutely.
you. Thanks, Sarah.
Sarah, is there a cheat sheet somewhere that says, step 1, do this, step 2, do this?
For what?
For any of these applications that we want to
You're looking at it on my slides.
Okay.
That's cheaty as we get around here.
Okay.
I wanted to make a point. I think Pam had made good points about us having time to do this. The question I have is, we used Google Forms, and would this be similar? I would add a YouTube video, and then I would do questions. Similar, but
so this would be instead of. And the reason this would be instead of is that the kids have to watch the video. They can't skip through the video just to find the answers. That's the only reason I would say this would be instead of. But yes, it is the same purpose.
Okay, because it really looks good.
Yeah.
Can you do a quiz? Or you just use it as a quiz?
Well, you can just do the multiple choice or the written response questions,
Yeah.
and that's your quiz.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, it's Ellie. Sorry, my name.
That's all right. No, what's up?
Over there. Quick question. I have used Edpuzzle to like grade that they actually watch a video.
Yep.
And I love how it gives like a percentage, even like if they just watch a portion of it. I haven't done like Lori was just asking about questions. Will it automatically like assign a grade as well? I'm assuming.
So if it is a multiple choice question, it will tell them if they got it right or wrong, and you'll see that on your dashboard when they've turned it in. If it's a written response, I think if I remember correctly, I haven't used it in a while, but if I remember correctly, you have to go in and kind of review those answers and mark them right or wrong.
Okay.
And then you would have to communicate that score to the kids.
I have two more really
Please.
quick questions.
That's what we're here for.
I asked you before about YouTube.
Yeah.
Like the 15 minutes. Do you know if we let's try to make videos and I'm like 16 minutes and I can't make a YouTube video that's over 15 minutes.
So mine that I've been doing, these, when I do the recording of them, they tend to be an hour, sometimes longer, depending on the session. They've been uploading with no problem. So I don't know what's going on.
Need to talk to somebody. Okay. And then third, really quick question. I thought today was talking points. Is that next?
Nope. Talking points is next week.
Oh, wrong Thursday. Sorry.
That's okay. No worries.
I might jump out at the Seesaw.
No worries. Feel free. I totally get it. All right. So that is Edpuzzle. We're going to move on to Seesaw.
One last question.
No, please go ahead.
So just piggybacking off. So you said the multiple choice so the answers are recorded. So then like you said we have a teacher dashboard in Puzzle and it will show us what the kids are scoring.
Correct.
Great. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, let's move on to Seesaw. Seesaw is a little bit more of a robust platform, meaning it has more going on. So I have a few more slides than I did with Edpuzzle. So what is Seesaw? Seesaw is what we call a digital portfolio. It's a place for students to store the work that they've been doing. It's also a place for teacher to create assignments and have communication with families. If we were using Seesaw in its full capacity, the communication piece would be key. Unfortunately, we're not. So I'm steering everybody towards using platforms like Talking Points, email, those things for communication. Don't rely on Seesaw as your communication platform. It does have those components, but it's not what we're supposed to be using it for. Students can submit their assignments that you've given them. They can also submit things that were not necessarily assigned to them. They can upload examples of their work, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. It provides digital tracking and accountability of classwork, and it also helps to show progress of a particular skill or concept throughout the year. It is basically another version of Google Classroom, and the reason we're talking about it is because Seesaw offers some very helpful ways of turning in work and ways of students demonstrating their learning that are not as easily or readily available through Google Classroom. And so for those of you that are EL teachers, you may have experienced this last year when they were doing their speaking practice, because this was the platform that we used. If we had tried to do speaking practice through Google Classroom, it would have been much more difficult. So the reason we're promoting Seesaw and using Seesaw as a district, and I fought really hard to be able to keep using Seesaw because some people wanted to get rid of it entirely, is because it has image, audio, and video submission. Now, can we do that with Google Classroom? Yes, but when you do it with Google Classroom, it requires additional programming. It requires extensions or downloads or websites or things to have those video, audio, image components put into Google Classroom. For Seesaw, it doesn't. It's right there. It's part of the platform. Seesaw was built for little kids. It was primarily initially started to be a K-2 platform. So everything is very pictorial. It's very seamless. It's supposed to be like click and go, not, oh, I got to find this. And now I got to do this. And now I got to upload this. It's really easy to navigate, and the kids are awesome at it. Our newcomer first and second graders got it like that. So it's really easy for the kids to learn. It also allows teachers to record video directions that have both audio directions and visuals, longer than the other tools we've talked about in the summer PD series. We've talked about other tools that you can use that require a few more steps. With all of this, it's built into Seesaw. So teachers don't even need to go out to other extensions or other platforms or other places to make their videos. It's all part of Seesaw itself. Again, I would have to emphasize, it is not our district supported learning management system. That's Google Classroom. That's what we're supposed to be using to push out assignments and show students where their stuff is and they're supposed to be turning stuff in. However, for our students who are younger and for our higher needs students, particularly our students with language needs and our special education students, our ELs, this is something that's going to be very useful for them to navigate. It's going to be much easier for them, and you're more likely to get stuff turned in because they're going to know how to do it. So again, this is another one that has a paid version. So we're going to talk about, this time I had to kind of reverse it because I wasn't going to type all of this out in a slide. I grabbed a screenshot of the Seesaw website itself. So this list of stuff is all the stuff that you get with the upgraded subscription, which is $120 a year. It's a one-time yearly purchase. I have one because I've gone through, they have what's called an ambassador training program. So if you want to put in the time to go through that program, you have to first demonstrate usage of the free Seesaw platform and you become a Seesaw pioneer. And then you can apply to the ambassador program and get approved, and you actually get a, they call it a plus subscription. You can get the plus subscription yearly, and you just have to keep showing competency each year, and they keep giving it to you. So if you want to do that, I can give you the information for that. It is a significant amount of work, several hours worth of work to kind of go through their training program and stuff like that.
And Sarah, now you have to be invited to be the ambassador. They don't
Yes.
just allow you to go.
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah, so you have to kind of go through the steps to become a pioneer, and then they have to say, oh, you're using it, you can be an ambassador, kind of a thing. So like I said, it's a lot of work.
There.
Yes.
Can you send information about that? I'm interrupting you, but can you send us
That's
a
okay.
link or tell us a little bit about that? It may be something advantageous.
I can send you the information. There's a couple different links. There's a link for the pioneer thing, the first step, and then I have some more information about the ambassador thing. And
Would
it
it be,
requires you to provide training to other people and stuff like that. So if that's not a commitment you can make, it's not the program for you. And like Shabbat just said, you have to be invited. So I'm not sure what that looks like, how you get invited, but I can send the information to you.
okay.
So these are all the things that you get with the plus subscription, and all of these top things are great. They're interesting. Oh, they'd be nice to have. The biggest differences are the ones that I circled down in the bottom in the yellow. With the free subscription or free account, you get 100 activities. With the paid one, you get 500. So that means for the whole year, you can only have 100 activities in your library. Now, 100 might seem like a lot, but remember, we're in school for 180 days. That means you can't even do an activity every single day. You can also only have 10 classrooms, meaning if you break your kiddos up, for example, middle school, high school, if you're doing a Seesaw class for each of your different sections or groups, you can only have 10 of them. And you can only have 2 teachers in each class. So if you're doing co-teaching, keep in mind which teacher you're going to add, because you can only have 2. Again, you can go through the training program and all of those hoops and bells and whistles that go with the ambassador stuff, or you can do the $120 a year if these things are important to you. If they're not, then the free account is totally for you. And most teachers get by just fine with the free account. Okay, so how do we use it? First thing you gotta do is sign up for an account. You click the I'm a teacher button, and then you click the sign in with Google button, okay? Then once you've created your first class, it kind of logs you into your first class the very first time. There's a wrench up in the corner, the right-hand corner. I'll show you where that is, and you can go through and set up your settings for your class. Once you've set up your class the way that you want it to be, you can either search for assignments to assign through the library, or you can create your own. Just remember that you only get 100 of them. But just like Edpuzzle, once you've hit that kind of cap of 100 and you're ready to create your 101st one, you can delete your very first one or whichever one didn't work out. And as long as you only have 100 activities in your library, you're totally set to go. So you can take them in and out of your library as you like. Then once you've assigned your assignment, you can have your students submit their work. You can also do this without assignment. So you don't have to give the kids an assignment for them to upload stuff. They can upload what I've been calling them artifacts or products. They can put stuff in their portfolio however much you want. It's only the things that you're assigning to kids that you have 100 of. So I've had teachers use Seesaw without any assignments at all, and their kids just keep adding work to it into their digital portfolio. Once students have submitted something to be posted into their portfolio, you would most likely want to review it. You don't want kids just throwing stuff up in there willy-nilly. I have it turned on so that I have to approve student submissions into their portfolio. So what can students do with it? They can add, once they go to put in a post or submit something, they can make a photo, a drawing, a video. They can upload something from the computer or from Google Drive. They can make a note of something, or they can add a link to something that they have a link to. So obviously the link one would probably be more geared towards older kiddos. These top three are the ones that people are using the most. So once they go in to make their submission, these are the tools that kids have access to. And this is what makes it so cool. Over here on the side, they're able to add text, they're able to add audio recordings, they're able to add photos, and they're able to do things to the background. They're able to zoom, they're able to click, they're able to change the color. They have different drawing and writing tools on the bottom. Now, some of these are part of the paid subscription. This was just a screenshot I grabbed offline. But for the most part, kids have access to almost all of these. The only thing I think on here, there's a draft button that kids don't have access to. There's adding pages over here that kids don't have access to. Stuff like that, but all of the main tools, the text and labeling, the recording, the picture adding, all of those things in these drawing tools on the bottom, the kids have access to those in the free version of the account. So this is what we're looking for with Seesaw. This is a way for kiddos to submit their work for you. And once they finished adding whatever it is that they're adding to this space, they hit this green check mark at the top. It brings them to a review screen to kind of go back over their work. And then they hit the green check mark again and it's turned in. That's all it takes. So they pick what they want to turn in, they add it to the screen, and then they click the green check mark. It's a very visual, which is really helpful to our kiddos. When you're setting up your class, there are a couple settings you want to keep in mind. When you're picking your student sign-in mode, they offer 3 different options. Because we're going one-to-one and because our kids each have their own Google and email account, you want to click the sign-in mode to be Google/email. And what this does is when the kids come to sign in, they're selecting their Google account and it takes them straight into their portfolio. The other choices bring them into a kind of class environment where they have to post their assignment and then pick their name out of the list. This brings them into their individual classroom so that they don't have to kind of select their name out of the list when they turn something in. If you are going to allow students to post comments on each other's work, that's totally up to you. But if you are going to allow that to happen and show them how to do that and show them what your expectations of those comments are, you're going to want to turn on require approval. So just like you can require approval for student work, you can require teacher approval for student comments. Now that's going to put a little bit more work on your shoulders, meaning you have to go through and kind of approve everything that the students are posting. But if students giving feedback to one another like that is an important part of your class environment, a part of your community building process, then that's something you're going to want to look into. Do you want students to see each other's work? So if you're allowing students to see each other's work, then you're going to have to talk about what appropriate commenting is for this, that, and the other. If you're going to see each other's work, then student comments obviously is going to be off automatically because they can't see each other's work. So that's up to you. You may decide to have 2 separate Seesaw classrooms, one for assignments that students can see each other and collaborate and comment on, and then one classroom that's more for assessment type pieces where students aren't looking at each other's work and obviously they won't be able to comment. How you set this up is totally up to you. When we were doing the speaking practice for the EL students, we had students seeing each other's work as off because obviously with speaking practice, we didn't want them to be looking at each other's assessment pieces essentially. So what you do with this button is up to you. Just be aware of the implications that come with it. New items require approval. I always recommend that teachers turn this on because, as I said, we don't want students just throwing whatever they want up into their stream, up into their portfolio. So you want to be able to approve whatever they're trying to submit. You also want to turn on your sample student. And this is important because if we're in person or even if we're remote, you can pull up your Seesaw classroom. You can log in as the sample student and you can actually show them what the student side of this platform looks like. It's a great teaching opportunity. It's that thing that everybody's been asking for Google Classroom that doesn't exist. It exists in Seesaw. So you want to turn on your sample students so that you can show kids what they're going to do on their side of the platform. This last slide is all of the resources. So again, the Seesaw Help Center is awesome. It's one of the best help centers I've ever dealt with in terms of finding answers to my questions. And then these are various videos and links to different things about how to connect your Seesaw with your Google Classroom, how to use them together, how to create your own assignments instead of finding them in the library, how to do the approving and feedbacking on student work. This is a video to kind of show you what students are doing on their side. And then Seesaw has a great YouTube channel and they recently added a bunch of videos specifically about remote learning so that this, I put the whole channel up here. So if you're looking for a particular video or you're curious about how something happens on Seesaw, this is the place to go if you're a video person. All right, questions, and then we'll jump into Seesaw and I'll show you what it looks like.
Sarah, do you know, I know when I've used this for many years, but last year for the first time, because it used to be just a program obviously used in school, the parents could see the journal, but they opened it up last for remote learning as Seesaw Class versus Seesaw Home or something. I forgot the wording. And the parents needed the home app or home part of it to be able to, so the kids could do assignments at home. I haven't had any emails yet, but I didn't know if they were still, if you knew they were still opening that up for the fall.
So I know that they provide the home learning codes. So when you log in, here, I'll show you before I kind of talk about it. When you go into your Seesaw, whether it's the first time or not, up here at the top, it says use Seesaw for home learning. So this would be what we're all using, even if we're hybrid, because kids are going to be doing this at home. When you click on this, it gives you these codes. So you would go through them. And these are like passwords, so they don't want to share them. And each kid has their own individual code, I believe. So you would download them and send them out or print them and, you know, email them to families or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
and
they
down
last
here,
about a certain amount of time. Like,
yeah, I think it's like a week. So
Yeah.
they have a week. And the same when you invite a co-teacher, they have a week to click on the link and get into your class. If they don't click on it within a week, you have to send it again.
okay.
But there's a whole FAQ down here at the bottom. I haven't played around with these too much, again, because I didn't have a class of kids during remote learning. But if you go to the Seesaw help thing or to the Seesaw YouTube channel, they have a ton of stuff specifically about home learning codes, remote learning, all that kind of stuff, because it was a big change to their programming this spring.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. And I mean, it was easy to
Yeah.
do once, you know, once it got
Yeah.
figured out. Parents were like, why can't I do the activities? And I'm like, because you need.
The other app.
Yeah.
Yeah. My kids, so when I play around with this and kind of like demo stuff out and try new stuff as it comes out, I have my kids doing it on a Chromebook or a laptop. It's just easier, I think. But if you're going to do it on a tablet or a phone, you do have to have the app. It doesn't work on Safari or the web browser or whatever. You have to go through the app to make it work on a tablet or mobile device.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else before we see what it looks like? All right, so I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to show you this classroom that I was just in. We'll kind of show you how things happen here. I got to move you. All right, so this is what a classroom looks like. And this is one that's already in use. This was the Brookside speaking practice classroom for first grade. So you'll see here in the middle, this is the journal for the whole class. Now, what this means for you guys, for those that don't know, I set these classrooms up to be for the entire grade level at Brookside. All of the EL students at Brookside that were not in a self-contained EL classroom were using this class. So you'll see that there are 246 items to be approved. There's probably like 50 or 60 students in this class. Most likely your classes are not going to be this large. And this particular class had like 3 or 4 co-teachers because it was all of the EL teachers that were collaborating together on this. So as students are posting their work, it's showing up here in the stream. And these teachers tried to organize it by folder. So this was a child who was in Sylvia Fitzgerald's class. So she pulled all of hers into her folder. This was Manos's class. So they just kind of organized it a little bit better so they could find each other's work because it was just a big, massive dump of information. So when you're in here, this green plus sign is going to be your best friend. This is where you're going to add assignments. And this is also on the student side where they're going to add their artifacts. So if you're just asking them to put posts up there that aren't attached to a particular assignment, they're also going to go to the green plus sign and add their artifact. So you would go to add, and you could either post the student work yourself, or you can assign an activity. So let's look what the activities look like first. So this is my particular library. These are assignments that I've chosen out. You can also go to the community, which is like the massive, everybody on Seesaw is putting stuff in here. You can narrow it down by grade level, by subject. You can search for what you want. So I might want all activities. I only want math activities, and I'm looking for subtraction stuff. Ooh, here's some good stuff. I might want to try this one. I like this one. I can click on it. I can see what it looks like before I actually choose it. All right, so I like this one. I'm going to use this one. I can heart it, like favorite, and I can assign it. And when I assign it, these are all of my classrooms. So just like when you assign something in Google Classroom, you can assign it to multiple classes. I can do the same thing in Seesaw. I can pick which classes I want this to go to. So I want it to go to my demo class because I'm not going to send this to a bunch of EL kids. So I'm going to assign it. And then here's kind of like a brief review of how students do it. When the students sign in, they respond. So now I'm going to go to this classroom and see what it looks like over there. So as a student, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see the assignment and they're going to add their response. When they click this button, they find their name. These are my children. They're my demos. And this is the activity. This is what the students see when they log in. So let me move you again because I know you're blocking some of the stuff on the bottom. So when they log in and they sign into the activity, they have text. They can add text here. They can add audio if I want them to talk about what they're doing as they're solving these problems. They can add their own picture if they really needed to. They can use the pencil, the pen, the marker, the highlighter, the eraser. There's all these writing tools down here. So 7 minus 3, the student's going to come in and they're going to write 4. If they're really savvy, they might grab the text box. They might type the next answer. Oops, it's supposed to be movable. There we go. Come here. And then they might move it over here to this line. So the text box is a little bit trickier to navigate. A lot of our kiddos are going to use the pen or the marker. They can play around with it. 6 minus 5 is 1. 8 minus 2 is, I want a different color. So I'm going to come over here to my color wheel. I'm going to make this one red. What is it? 8 minus 2 is 6. And then when they're all done, they hit the plus sign. And it sends their work in and they've turned it in. So as a teacher, I can see that 1 student has responded and I'm still waiting for 2 to turn in their work. And then if I have, do I have it turned on? I don't think I have it turned on where they have to require approval. If you go to your inbox, if it's waiting for approval, those approval notifications would be in your notification tab over here and you would just go through and approve them as you go on. So, questions? Anybody?
I have a question.
Please.
All right, so I'm just trying to imagine my students are home, but in order for them to see any of this, they're first going to Google Classroom, like how we would we're assigning something on Google Classroom. So they, and I have it organized like by day. So they click on it's Monday. They're at home. Let's say we've moved to full remote learning. And in my Google Classroom for Monday's assignment, I would say, go to Seesaw. Like if I have an assignment in Seesaw, because
so what's really cool is you can take your Seesaw activities, they generate a link, and you can put that link into Google Classroom as your assignment.
Thank you. Okay, so link.
There's a video on the slides where it says like linking Seesaw and Google Classroom or using Seesaw and Google Classroom. That shows you specific, like step-by-step how to do it. So you make your activity in Seesaw, you grab the link to it, and you paste it in your Google Classroom as do this.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Looks really cool.
Anybody else? No? What's up?
So if we opt to use Seesaw, it's gonna spare us too many steps with other apps.
So do you remember how in some of the other sessions we've talked about like teachers making videos for directions and then kids making videos to turn in their answer and how they have to go to like different places to do that? Seesaw takes that away. They go to Seesaw, they do all of that, they turn it in.
Yeah, exactly. It's simpler and easier for both, I guess.
I agree. It's just not cheap. That's the biggest thing. It's not
Let's
cheap.
figure it out. Yeah, I like it.
I do too. I love it. That's why I did the whole thing, the training program and all that kind of stuff. But they've changed it because too many people figured them out. We're getting free accounts.
Hey, Sarah, can you show us on that last assignment with the adding and subtracting? Below it, there was a reading assignment. Can you show us an example of that? Oh, yeah. Can you show us that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Just to see how that works.
All right. So it's not going to fully work because my microphone and stuff is working for you guys. But give me one sec. Let me rearrange my board a little bit. All right. So this was my demo class. I made this one for my kiddos, my personal kiddos, not that one. All right. Reading fluency. So this was the activity I made. And basically what I did is I took a picture of a page in a book and then I added these directions, and there's little keyboard shortcuts, like things to type to make the icons actually appear in your directions. I can post those in the slideshow as well. They have a whole cheat sheet of like, if you type this, when you post it, it turns into a camera. And if you type this, it turns into a microphone and the green check mark. So it actually gives the kids the pictorial directions too, which is really nice. So they click on the button, they take a photo of the page that they did, they tap on the microphone, and then they do the check mark. So what I did is I posted an example. I took a picture of this, I recorded myself. So this was part of their directions. You can post an example in the directions, which is really nice. You can post a template in the example, which is really nice. So then my kids turned this in down here. And let's see if it works. This was like 2 years ago too, so we'll see how this goes. So I don't know if you can hear that, but he took a picture of this. I gave him an iPad. He took a picture of this. He clicked the record button. He recorded himself reading and he clicked the check-in box. So he was in 2nd grade at the time when he did this. And then my daughter did this one. It was the back of a book. And she put, because it didn't have the title on it, she added a text box that had the title of the book so I would know which page she was reading from. And she recorded herself reading this one. And then if I wanted to respond to it, and I don't know if it'll work because, like I said, my microphone is being used by you guys. I would add a photo. And I don't think it'll work. Yep, so my camera's being used. So they would just hold up whatever it was, or if they're using an iPad, they would lay it on the table and take the iPad or the phone to take a picture of it. And then once they've added that photo, they're able to add the microphone and then the text if they wanted to add text to it, and then just submit it. So everything starts with this screen. They pick what they're going to turn in. So in this case, it would be a photo. Once they've taken the photo, they get a screen similar to this one with the photo already in the middle, and they can add all of these pieces to it. And like I said, you can't see all of it because my camera and my audio are already being used by Zoom.
And it's very easy to use. I mean, my kindergartners loved it. They would go grab an iPad after they did their journal writing, and they would take a screenshot of it, and then they would hit the audio and read it. And then that got sent to their parents because their parents had access to their journal. So then the parents could comment on it and could see what we were doing in school. Or
Yes.
They would say, can you record me reading the story? So they would read books. So it's very easy for them to manipulate.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of teachers also use it for like hands-on activities. You know how when you have the kids do something hands-on with manipulatives or pieces or something in the classroom, and you obviously can't send that home, the kids would take a picture of whatever it is on their desktop, put it up in Seesaw, add a little audio clip, or if they're a little more savvy, a text clip to say this is what we did, or they would draw or circle or whatever they needed to do on top of it. But they were able to show and share the in-class learning home to their parents. And it's really great for remote learning because kids might have access to various things that they can use for math manipulatives or breaking words, you know, whatever it may be. They'll have access to stuff at home, but for you to see them doing it, they might need to video or audio record with Seesaw so that you can actually hear and see their thinking as they're going through the process. And you don't have to make it an activity. You can put the directions in Google Classroom, like record a video of yourself reading a passage from whatever book you've read this week. And then they go to Seesaw, and there's no assignment in Seesaw, but they can always put stuff in their portfolio in Seesaw. So if you put the directions in Google Classroom and the link to Seesaw, they can kind of create their own assignment so you don't run out of your 100 assignments so fast. Yes, Anne-Marie.
This is for you or for Chris. How does that work with the EL students? Are they able to use it really well?
We used it specifically for our EL students. For one of the things we noticed when the whole access testing went totally online is that our speaking scores actually went down as opposed to staying the same. We expected things to stay the same as a year-to-year trend, and the speaking scores went down. So we figured out that the biggest problem the kiddos were having is that when you're talking to a person, you're actually able to interpret like facial expressions, and teachers sitting there going like this, even though they really shouldn't be during the testing and stuff like that. But you know, there's stuff going on when you're person to person. That's not happening when you're looking at a computer and talking to a computer. So all year teachers had tried to get kids to talk to a computer, and it was difficult because they didn't have a platform to practice with. So by using Seesaw and teaching them to click the button and then click this button to stop, similar to how it's set up in the access testing, they did beautifully. I think our scores went up. I can't speak for certain. I haven't talked to Jen or Jania, but she seemed very happy when we got our access scores back. So they use it very well, especially the newcomers. And I know Pam and Laura, you guys didn't start off using it right at the beginning of the year, but I think you started using it a little bit later. No? Okay, so it was more at the
We never used this.
So it was more at the elementary level.
Yeah.
The newcomer EL teachers said it was fabulous. And even though the classrooms were set up specifically for these speaking activities to mimic what they would look like on Access, they started using it for everything because the kids could talk and the kids could record themselves talking and show what they know because they weren't able to do it in writing or what other ever format they were trying to get the kids to do. They were able to do it using Seesaw.
Okay, thanks.
I had a question too. Like I love how you were saying the kids would take a picture of what they were reading at home. I'm just imagining with our newcomer Ls, they don't have any reading materials at home. We would have to provide the reading materials. So we would take a picture of what we want them to read. We would upload it. Then they would record themselves reading it.
Yes. So in order for that to happen, it would happen in one of two ways. You would either share the picture with them on Google Classroom and they would put the picture in themselves on Seesaw, or you could share it as an activity in Seesaw and you could build a template where the text was already on the assignment for them. So you might start out the year using up your assignments to have those templates. And then as you had the kids a little longer, you would train them, you would teach them how to take the picture from somewhere else and put it in. But in the beginning, you might have it already set up for them that way.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? All right. Well, if you have any questions, please let me know. We are at the end of our hour, so I'm going to stop the recording.